Nancy Kupka.
Present.
Mike Davenport.
Here.
1 second, please.
I'm getting, if Miss Fuller is up to it. Hey, Sherelle, you up for participating?
Yep, I'm good.
All right.
Okay. Cheryl Fuller.
Here.
Thank you. Dan Nicholas. Terry Pavicic.
Here.
Rick Pavanato.
Here.
Joanna Vasquez Drexler.
Here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have a quorum. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First order of the night is we need approval of minutes for the August 19th, 2019 business meeting minutes, the August 29th, 2019 special meeting, the September 9th, 2019 special meeting workshop, and the September 9th, 2019 closed meeting.
So moved.
Terry, we have a second?
Second.
Dan?
Thank you. Terry Pavicic.
Aye.
Dan Nicholas.
Aye.
Rick Pavanato.
Aye.
Joanna Vasquez Drexler.
Aye.
Mike Davenport.
Aye.
Cheryl Fuller.
I missed some of the meetings.
Abstain.
She's abstaining.
I missed the special meeting.
Thank you. And Nancy Kupka.
Aye. The minutes approved. The reception of visitors, public comment. The meeting agenda includes 2 opportunities for comments from the audience. The first reception of visitors is intended for audience members to address the board without any agenda item on which the board will vote. Are you all here to talk about gymnastics?
Yes.
Anybody here not to talk about gymnastics? Okay. Is this something we're going to vote on?
We're here to present on the
Oh,
presentation
okay.
of the Ed Foundation.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to have a special communication session after, in a little bit about gymnastics. So I'm going to ask if you're here to talk about gymnastics, just hold your comments for the moment, okay? Anybody else wish to address the board about anything we're going to vote on? Hearing none, we'll move on to recommendations and reports of the superintendent. First, the presentation of District 99 Education Foundation check to grant recipient.
And I'll bring the Ed Foundation president, and I don't know if we have any, just Julia Beckman.
How cool is this?
Here to present, and we have several members of the District 99 team and some students here to receive this. So, Mrs. Beckman.
I'm Julia Beckman. I am currently the president of the District 99 Foundation. It's so good to see all of my old friends here, and I'm glad to be coming back every once in a while, especially on such great occasions. The foundation is very happy to be able to present. This is a larger check. This is for a major grant, which will actually benefit, as I understand it, and they can tell you more about it, all of the students of District 99, both buildings. And it's called My Story, My Story, and it's about student equity and inclusion programs, which the students will be trained on. They will tell you more about it. Are you ready to talk?
Sure. Actually, and I'm going to invite
Yeah.
Ms. Martinez to join me as well.
Thank you so much.
I'd be glad to give you the check.
So my name is Jennifer Martinez. I'm the activity director at Downers Grove South, and I apologize, jeans and a little bit more casual. I just came over from Putter Puff, and then I'll be running back. So we're at the stadium right now.
No
kicking
tutu?
off. Huh?
No tutu?
No tutu, no tutu, no rainbows, but powder puff. Yeah, so we're having a good time. But we really, truly appreciate the grant to support the program called My Name, My Story. So My Name, My Story is an organization that's going to be coming in and working with our students to focus on enhancing our already caring community to be able to help us listen to one another through stories and create more spaces for empathy. And they truly believe that then empathy can drive change. And so through that, just to make our world a more caring and better place so that we can understand each other, and despite differences, that we can use those things as strengths to continue to make District 99 better. And we're excited to have 30 student leaders from Downers Grove South, 30 student leaders from Downers Grove North, and 150 participants from South and 150 participants from North. So we're doing 180 students total at both buildings. And so that's a lot of students that we'll be impacting and then continuing to spread that message throughout our entire buildings.
Yeah, and as a Deep Equity Committee, we've been working together largely for 3 years, and we're continuing our journey moving forward. So the My Name, My Story program is a very large step forward for our students. We're very hopeful that this process will not only allow us to share stories, but also gain more empathy, move forward, and make change makers. That's really ultimately the name of the program. And so we want to express our gratitude to the foundation for their generosity.
Happy to do it.
We're excited to see the direction that this will take us.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having us tonight. Do you guys want to say anything?
Come on up.
Come on up.
Please. Start by introducing yourselves.
My name is Jay. I'm one of the leaders from that was there last year. And I would just like to say thank you. This is a great opportunity and a great thing for me to be involved in, and I am very glad I am.
And I'm Melina Harris, and I'd also like to say thank you because this whole thing really means a lot to me, and it's great to be able to make an impact on the building.
Thank you.
And I just want to recognize Jamie Trent, because she's another staff member at Downers Grove South that has been working really hard. Val, Jamie, and I, along with Principal Schwartz, have just been working on doing our student selection process and getting the organizational pieces that have to go with the logistics. And I know Principal Schwartz, or Janet Schwartz, sorry, also has been working. And is there anyone else from North that's here? Okay. So on behalf of all of us, we say thank you to you, and we're so excited for the next step.
We also would be remiss if we didn't thank our faculty for spending so much time, excuse me, putting these things together. They spend a lot of extra time, and it's certainly worth it to the district. But thank you for all your dedication.
Thank you. Exciting, and as a member of the board, thank you. And I hope that we can have a follow-up presentation
Of course.
Absolutely.
about the outcome of these activities, because this is very exciting work. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank
And
you so
did,
much.
did we get a picture?
We will. Up there. Jill will get it in the hallway.
Thank you, guys.
Have fun.
Thank you to the foundation. We've got another foundation, not a presentation, but the foundation is so wonderful. They're so supportive. English course title changes.
Right, Gina will present on this item, and the course title changes are up for approval later tonight under the consent agenda.
So as the board knows, we typically bring course proposals and course title changes in December. We're bringing these earlier so that our academic planning guide can be as current as possible and as clear as possible. The purpose in changing or the reasons behind changing are different, a little bit different for each one, but basically we want students and parents to be able to truly understand what the content of the course is. So we're just trying to make the titles truly reflect the content of the courses. We'd like to get those approved in advance of finalizing the academic planning guide because it is a great resource for our students and their families.
I know some of the current titles were, if I recall, kind of an effort to create a little intrigue and interest in the course. We're talking about our English department, so creative, right? And,
We're going a little less creative.
You know, the new titles are a clearer description of what's happening. I get it.
Yeah.
So, anyhow,
Yeah.
just commentary.
The content of the courses remains as is.
Yep.
Any questions?
All right, so that's under consent.
Okay, outcomes of board self-evaluation.
This is just as last week, as the board knows, we were in closed session for board self-evaluation with representatives of the Illinois Association of School Boards. As part of that, the Illinois Association of School Boards recommends that we make public what the key work was out of that meeting. So this is just that public posting of the board superintendent expectations, which we've revised multiple times over the last several years, just to document how the board and the superintendent will interact and what our roles and responsibilities are. So that's up there for the public to review.
Okay. And thank you again to ISBE for for helping us through that exercise. I thought it was very helpful. The 2019-20 grant allocations.
This is Gina's as well, and these recommendations are up for approval under action later this evening.
So we're recommending that the Board of Education approve participation in basically our general education CTE grants, our career and technical education grants, and our EL grants. As you can see, a couple of them are down, but this is also, for example, for Title I and Title II, an initial allocation. Oftentimes we do get reallocation later in the school year. And a couple of our grants are up as well. So they vary year from year, or year to year, excuse me.
And did I just see an announcement that there's a Title I meeting at South?
Yes. So I have a Title I meeting every year. I hold a meeting to provide an opportunity for families, parents to provide input and to learn more about how we utilize Title I funds.
And that is, since we have a lot of parents in the, even though they're north, that is, when is that? The meeting?
It is Thursday, October 3rd. I
Third, okay. Thank you. Okay, anything on the grants?
Thank you.
You all are here for a very exciting meeting.
It's moving along.
Administrator teacher salary and benefit report.
It's a yearly requirement that we inform the board that this report has been published to the website, and it has been posted.
Okay, and everybody can review it at the website.
Yep, it's on the website.
Any questions? Hearing none, we'll move on to the gymnastics program.
All right. As the board is aware, District 99 has decided to combine or co-op the North and South High girls gymnastics programs for the 1920 school year. The schools will combine teams to form one team, and this is similar to how District 99 operates lacrosse. We made this decision in order to maximize opportunities for as many student athletes as possible. Since last spring, both the coaches for North High's team have retired. In August, the person hired to replace them declined the position due to changes in her own personal situation. After an extensive search lasting several months, we interviewed several additional candidates. However, we did not find a qualified head coach and 2 additional assistants who would meet our needs to run a comprehensive program at North High. Without a coaching staff at North High, we evaluated the capacity of the South High program to include North High athletes. The gymnastics space at South High can safely accommodate 40 athletes, but to safely run the program, an additional assistant coach would be needed. A suitable assistant coach emerged from the interview process at North and will be added to the combined gymnastics program. As the combined participation in both programs has historically ranged between 35 and 55 gymnasts, with last year having 43 participants district-wide. We believe this new co-op model will serve a similar number of students as we have in the past. The decision to consolidate was unanimously supported by the athletic directors in the West Suburban Conference. These are the teams we compete against. This 14-0 vote was decided, even though consolidating has the potential to make the District 99 team stronger. This is an indication that these other schools also saw that there were no other options available to us. Families involved in the girls' gymnastics program were informed of this change last week, and we've set up a time for the students to meet the head coach and have any questions answered in the coming weeks. We did not reach this decision lightly, but we knew we faced a situation where if we did not co-op our 2 teams, we would have been unable to provide any team for our North High students, and we would have been forced to eliminate the program altogether. We are confident that our experienced, dedicated coaches will make the program a valuable and memorable experience for all of our athletes, and that our merged community team will be one of the most formidable, easy for me to say, competitors in the state. I'm sure they will be a force to be reckoned with when they go out and compete. So that is the update at this point.
We're gonna, first of all, let me just say, as an ex-gymnastics mom, I know how hard y'all worked on this, and I really appreciate the efforts of everybody at North to try to pull this together. We're gonna open this up for a period for the audience to comment. Tony, can you put up the, so this is, we're gonna limit the discussion to the gymnastics. Comments are limited to 3 minutes to provide all visitors an equal opportunity to address the board. If you need more time than that, we're gonna ask you to submit your thoughts in writing to the board secretary, Mrs. Nidak. And when you come to the microphone, please state your full name. The proceedings are being tape recorded and video recorded, and will be shown on YouTube. Yeah, they'll be broadcast off of our website.
Yeah.
And then I, as the proceeding officer, reserve the right to modify the protocols as circumstances warrant, and we greatly appreciate your observations of these protocols. So the first of all, let me ask the board, is there anything anybody else would like to bring up?
I'd like to hear from the
Okay. Who would like to come to the microphone first?
My name is Amy Toth. One of the questions I have the cooperative guidelines here. Usually a co-op has to be run for 2 years minimum unless there are extenuating circumstances. And one of my questions is there a possibility for us, are we under extenuating circumstances with not having a gym at North and not having coaches? Would it be a possibility for us to contact IHSA to bring our gymnastics team back next year?
Okay, let me just also just be very clear about something. We're not going to be able to answer everybody's questions tonight, but because this is a public meeting, not a meeting with the public, but we're going to take note. And
I don't know if that's something that.
No, that's a great question. I have no idea.
Denise Kavanaugh about, or.
No, that's a great question, and the fact that we're not like responding to you, please don't.
I didn't know how it worked. I've never spoken at a school board meeting before, so.
But we will follow up on that, so thank
Okay.
you.
We'll get an
Thank
answer.
You'll get an
Okay.
answer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next?
Don't be shy.
Yeah. This is your time.
Hello, my name is Todd Bowers. Thank you for the opportunity to meet, and thank you for hearing us. We are concerned parents, but I think we also understand in the process we're at right now that there's not an opportunity to modify. We have a lot of frustration. You as a gymnast parent know that we've invested a lot. It's not a game of chaos. It's a sport of small micro improvements, and so they work very hard. You don't get a win by accident. Everything has to come together really well. They work extremely hard for this, and then we feel like the program is gone, and we've all, as parents, invested really heavily in this to make this opportunity. We've had great opportunities, and we had a great program. It's hard to swallow the fact that you're going to be able to serve the same amount of people when they're eliminating a JV2 team. That was one of your goals. You said you wanted to serve the same amount of people. That is a hard one to swallow with half the coaching staff that you had. We had 3 coaches at North and 3 teams, and it was deep. And so it's hard to imagine that your goal of achieving the same amount of students being able to participate in the program would have been achieved. I don't think that's getting there. But we also feel we've been shorted in communication. From the athletic department, it's been difficult to get a lot of information. We wanted good information. We're invested. We want to. We get great information from the principal, Janice Schwartz. That's been wonderful. But the communication with the athletic director has been difficult and terse. It hasn't been forthcoming, and we feel it's been a slow micro erosion of, well, we'll get somebody, we'll look for a coach. Okay, we didn't get a coach, but we're going to try something else. And by the way, we gave away the equipment. Is my time up?
No.
Is that a bomb?
Sorry. No, you guys did great. We only got through almost 2 people in 3 minutes.
Sorry about that, please continue.
That's okay. Where was I going?
I'm sorry about
We're
that.
talking about Denise Kavanaugh.
Communication issues.
Communication was poor. We want the equipment is where I was thinking of going. The Booster Club works really hard to donate equipment, and it costs a fortune. We were talking about $12,000 worth of equipment that was recently given by the Booster Club. Thank you, Booster Club, where we are. And we just gave that away. We just gave our equipment away. So we're worried about the future. So that's what we're thinking about, the future. Can we get a coach? Can we keep having the opportunity to have our gymnasts advance? And that's what we're hoping for, and we're relying on you to do that for us. Thank you for your work, too. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm Susan Lucina. I have 2 gymnasts. I feel like we feel like our athletic director is not directing the gymnastics. So we feel that she's just dropped the ball. She is only concentrating on the more
public sports and doesn't give the kids direct answers, doesn't give us direct answers. And she's known about the retirement of our coaches since February. As far as I've heard, it was never posted. There was finally an interview in August. Knowing we have no gym, knowing that situation, I don't understand. It makes me very upset that she did not try harder for our girls to have their gym, to keep their team. And I think that needs to be handled better, and I think she needs to be brought in front of us. She keeps hiding behind emails, and it's not fair. That's my complaint. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sharon Bowers. My gymnast is Mia Bowers. She's a junior. And first of all, the girls lost their coach. That was a hard hit, both of them, Sarah and Linda. So they took that really hard. Now, Sarah and Linda were a huge part of their team. And so that was hard for the girls. Then they lost their gym, right? It's now a loading dock. We had the best gym. We had the great seating. We had new equipment. We had space. But we realized there's a reconstruction going on here. We get that. So strike number 2. Okay, well, they were talked to, well, at least you'll be able to practice maybe second after the Downers Grove South team goes, and you guys will get that second slot. You'll still be your own team. We'll have away games, but next year we'll be back, okay? So they were like, oh, okay, I guess we can handle that. So then we get this email. We were talking back in April. We knew that Linda and Sarah were gone. What's it coming? Are you looking at anybody? How's it going? And we just felt, as already been communicated, that wasn't, we felt there was an extensive search, but from what we gather, we really don't feel like there was an extensive search, but maybe I'm mistaken. We also, Linda Reynolds and ourselves plus another family recommended a coach and his wife. I don't know what happened with that interview, but I guess they weren't deemed worthy of the coaching position. So we were all pretty disappointed. Our girls have worked well with this coach already. They already had a relationship with our girls, several of our girls. And so that was a blow as well, that this coach that they loved and we thought a lot of was not considered worthy. And then, I don't know if you're aware, but when 2 good teams combine, there are only 5 spots for an all-around gymnast, okay? So you got a strong North team, you have a strong South team. We're combining for 5 varsity all-around spots. JV, they got 5 spots too. So that means that your varsity girls are gonna take the top 5. We're gonna have a rockin' team, yes we are. Then all the varsity girls that should be varsity are now gonna be JV, and those girls that should have been JV are now not gonna have a chance. So that kind of has a ripple down effect that's a little discouraging for the girls. So our girls have worked hard, and we're proud of our Downers Grove North team. Will we combine and make a good South team? Yes, we will. And our gymnasts are on board to make that happen. We just want to make sure that next year we're back in our gym. Next year we get our equipment back, and next year we have a team again. We're a little bit afraid that once we co-op, that it's going to look better on the budget, and all of a sudden they're going to be like, oh, they did it nicely. 1 year, let's just keep this going. So that, I guess, is my fear. I don't know, do we share that opinion? Okay, so the parents are afraid that once we go co-op, that we're not going to get our team back. So that's what I have to share. Thank you for allowing me the time.
Hello, I'm Kelly Dietrich. I'm the mother of a sophomore gymnast. I just kind of want to reiterate the transparency issue. You know, we didn't really know. We knew that they were looking for a coach. Then we understood that there was other coaches that were really qualified, and the whole process was not given to us at all. And now I understand that it's already been approved. We thought this had some sort of approval tonight. We were told tonight it doesn't, and that another agency had to approve it, and they did a while ago. The person didn't know exactly, but a couple weeks ago. And we were just told last week, and the other coach just found out the other 2 that they believed to be qualified were told last week that they didn't get the job. So we appreciate that there's accommodations being made, but I really feel like that was already set up before this, and they just kind of put us off until the last minute and just told us the decision. So as parents of gymnasts or, football players, golfers, tennis players, you need to communicate with the parents. I sent an email because there were high school kids talk a lot, as do parents, but I would hear things and I'd be like, God, that can't be true, that can't be true. And I, at the end of last school year, requested that, she kind of just keeps us better informed because I'm hearing this, I'm hearing that.
She, who?
Denise Kavanaugh.
Okay.
And my email back was, it's a study, call me. And that kind of, it's like not committing to putting anything in writing, not committing to communicate, this is a team effort. I get it's her job. I get it's hard. I'm sure parents are annoying, but it's better that there's be more transparency in the future. So that's my negative part. My optimistic part is hopefully I just want to make sure, I guess some of the guidelines said that it's supposed to be a 2-year co-op. In the mode of transparency, hopefully we can get something in writing saying our goal that next year, if we can get a coach, we will be able to be back in North's gym. And you said they gave equipment away. I would think it's a loan. Did we loan it out? Yeah, I don't know, but stuff like that. Instead of just hearing it from one person, another person, I think Denise needs to communicate better with us and actually make us a part of the decision. Obviously, this was made long before she told us. I mean, even in my conspiracy theory, it was way longer, but they got the approval a couple weeks ago, so it was longer than she told us. So I just think that the process needs to be laid out, and these are great girls, and I know Maeve, since she was this tall, she was excited to be in high school gymnastics. She's not going to be in college gymnastics probably, sorry, but this was her goal, and the little kids at Twisters at the Park District, they're like high school's their goal, and we appreciate everything you do, but I just would like things in writing, if that's a request. I don't even know if that's to you. I just stood up because I wanted to tell you that.
This is the place to do it. That's good.
That's it. Thanks so much, and we appreciate your time.
My name is Kate Murray. I'm a junior. I've been on the team for 2 years, and it was really awesome. I had a great experience. And so with co-oping, we're under the impression that there's obviously going to be less amount of girls from North. One, because we'll be eliminating JV2. So that's going to be a large portion of our team of girls that won't be accepted. And then also girls are really just distraught and upset about this, that they don't even feel the need or want to try out anymore. So with less girls on the team, after we co-op, I'm just really concerned for the future, because with only a smaller, just handful amounts of girls from North that will be on the team now, I fear that in the future there just won't, you guys won't really see a demand to have our own team again. So how do we know that this isn't going to be like this in the future? Or for we say this is a 2-year plan, but when there's only a few amount of girls, how do we know if we'll ever get our own team again?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Natalie Stellato, and my daughter is Gabriella. She is a junior this year. We actually moved from Plainfield to Downers Grove so our kids could attend Downers North. We know it's an amazing school. It's got a stellar reputation, and we were willing to make that sacrifice to leave our house in Plainfield and come out here. And we're happy we did. Our kids have flourished. It's been an amazing experience for both of them. My daughter, Gabriella, started freshman year on the varsity team. Last year, the girls went to regionals. That's amazing. They've done amazing. And my daughter actually was a state qualifier, so she went to state. She didn't do well, but she still made it to state. Huge accomplishments. And my fear is if these girls that are varsity gymnasts are trying out for very limited spots, get demoted to JV, not that there's anything wrong with JV, and it's not a matter of pride. It's a point of discouragement. If they're going to be demoted to JV after all their blood, sweat, and tears, I don't know that they're really going to have the enthusiasm to stay on the team when they've worked so hard to get to the varsity level. And for the JV gymnasts, that cuts spots for them, like someone else was saying. Their positions will be cut. And that's my concern, is that where are all these gymnasts going to go? And, you know, with a team this big, already there's an issue with practice space and gymnasts having enough time to practice the events. There's going to be limited space for competitors. I just don't see, the girls could get very discouraged very quickly by putting in all this time for limited competition and limited practice time. So my concern is just, you know, really the girls and their morale. And this is how we reward them. I don't understand that. I don't think this would happen with a football team. I just don't. And I don't think it's fair to them. These girls work their tails off, and they're stronger than any football player I know. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Hey, my name's Jeff Gasper. My daughter is Rylan. She would have been a JV2 athlete this year. I'm just here for, you know, obviously I'll have a couple of questions, but to make some comments. First of all, that prepared statement, comparing an established sport like gymnastics to a startup sport that was a club sport to like lacrosse is not a fair comparison. It's apples to oranges. And I just want to reiterate the messaging that we heard already about the poor communication from the athletic director. It's been trite, it's been short, and it hasn't been accurate or timely. And that's what communication should be, especially in a situation as important as this one. I made notes, so. You know, and one of the things in there was the 2-year co-op wasn't mentioned in any of the emails that I saw. And that's a big factor in you know, people here tonight, is because just the communication again. So, you know, North has great athletics. They always have. You know, my kids play other sports. The sports teams do great, all of them. And I think, unfortunately, it's not because of the athletic director. It's in spite of the athletic director. I have absolutely no confidence in Denise, and that's my statement. The questions I have is, I'd like to know the search timeline. I'd like to know when the search began, how many candidates were seen, how many made it to the final stages, and when they were ruled out. And in search, I've been in executive search for over 20 years. There should always be backup candidates. There should always be a process. And I know we can't change what happened now, but if we could tweak the process moving forward, maybe this won't happen to other sports, you know, again, when there's other facilities or other issues that come up. So, thank you for your time.
Hi, my name is Maeve Dietrich, and I'm a sophomore gymnast, and I'm on JV2, which it's whatever. I have been doing gymnastics since I was little, but it's not something that, like, I want to bring up to college. But after last year, I had, like, the best time, and I loved every part of being on gymnastics. all the girls were so nice, and I guess that doesn't really have to go in with this factor, but I just want to make sure that like the legacy of gymnastics is not taken off, because gymnastics is a really hard sport mentally and physically, and it's just hard to see. Sorry. It's hard to see everyone be just confused on what's going on, and I feel like if there was more transparency, things would be easier. So.
Hi, I'm Gretchen. I'm a sophomore, and like coming into high school, like gymnastics season was like the season like that I was like really hoping for. Like my sister has been on the team for 2 years then, so I was just coming in. Like I did volleyball, I did track, but like gymnastics was definitely the best season. Like with my friends and like bonding with everything, and it's just like people from the team like. Last year, all asking, like, are you going to do it this year? Because they're, like, not going to do it because of, like, the co-oping, and, like, they're getting discouraged because they don't think they're going to make it or anything. And I'm like, well, I can't just quit now. Like, I've done it for so long. So, like, I just feel like co-oping wasn't, like, they say that this is, like, the best decision for the girls, but it's really not, because none of the girls are doing it anymore. So, thank you.
Good evening. Bill Murray, parent of a junior at North in the program, and I just want to reiterate what Ms. Lucina was saying about the timeline. We've known about this for months. In fact, we were even talking about we knew the renovation was coming. We knew that there wasn't going to be a gym, and we even knew there weren't going to be coaches 6 or 7 months ago. And it seemed like nothing was happening. It wasn't being discussed. We couldn't get any information from anybody. This didn't just pop up 2 weeks ago. We knew this was coming, and nothing was being done the entire time about it, it seems. So. Thanks.
Hello, I'm Lauren Lucina. I am the last senior on the gymnastics team, and I'd just like to say that it was a massive blow to me because I was really looking forward to all the things that seniors get to do that now I'm not sure if I'll be able to do it because it's a whole different program. And I would just like to say that like when they say they don't have qualified positions that they like or coaches, I just don't understand why, because I worked with Jody Raymond over the summer and I really liked him. He was a good coach. I know people drive 3 hours just to be like practicing with him as that was their coach, and I'm confused why he was never seen as qualified. And I just want to know, like, now that Kristen Campos is our coach, and when we could have had our own. So, thank you.
Hi, this is Kay Murray again. I just have a specific question with the master facility plan. I'm sure you're very familiar with. So with like the white gym now being a loading dock, like I talked to Denise Kavanaugh and she said like there will be a spot for gymnastics, but like I haven't really heard anything else. So do you guys know exactly what it is, or like is it temporary, or is it like sure with, or can you tell us more?
We're going to hold your question for a second, okay? Because we're going to have a couple responses, so that will be one of the responses.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
We go more than once.
Come on up.
You came all this way. We sat through the whole thing to this point.
I wanted to make you sit through the budget, but Hank said no.
Yeah, I suggested that we take this here instead of making you sit through the whole budget presentation. So.
I have
For
to.
meetings, we have nobody here.
It's great to see everybody.
It's entertainment.
No, not entertainment.
No,
It's
not
good
at
to see
all.
people come out.
Thought they were here for the budget.
Yeah.
No, they're not here to hear
Sorry,
your
Mark.
budget report, Mark.
But it's good to hear from people.
Yes.
So.
Well, I have to ask this because my daughter will kill me if I don't. Her concern is, what is the tryout process going to look like? Because if the DGS coach is going to be the one auditioning the girls, she obviously has a strong feeling towards her own coaches or towards her own gymnasts. She already knows them. She knows their abilities. So how can we make the tryout process fair to all the girls that are involved? Another question is, how are the South parents feeling about all of this? That's what I'm wondering. If the North parents are unhappy with the way this is all played out, I imagine the South parents are less than thrilled as well. And I'd just like to reiterate the same thing. The communication has been less than forthcoming. We have felt very duped through the whole process. And it almost feels like from day one, there was going to be a co-op solution, and they were just waiting to tell us, to appease us, to pretend like there was a selection process taking place when there really wasn't, and it was just a matter of time when they would formally announce that the co-op was going to happen. And that's honestly what it feels like, and it feels very deceiving and just not best practices. So that's it.
All right. Anybody else? I'm going to do something that's very uncommon and very much frowned upon in superintendent circles. I'm going to address some of your concerns right here on the spot, okay? Typically, in board meetings, this is not what we do, right? This is a meeting in the public, not a meeting for the public. So I'll do the best I can, but realize I have had the amount of time that you've been speaking to try to address some of these questions. So if I'm not exactly wordsmithing this the best possible way, please work with me and understand that, okay? So to address some of the concerns I've heard this evening, first of all, none of these decisions were made for budgetary or facilities reasons, okay? I'm going to make it clear that this was not at all a decision that was made to cut budget or to reduce budget. Do we have in tonight's budget a reduction because of this? That's not why we made the decision. If we could have found a full coaching staff at North to safely run that program with qualified individuals, there would still be a full coaching or a full team at North. That was our number one choice and selection moving forward. It would have been a lot easier not to upset everybody and have you all out here this evening to go through this. It would have been better for everybody to run the program that way. The new facilities involve a new gymnastics loft. We have spent hundreds of hours designing a space that will accommodate both boys and girls gymnastics safely. We've taken into consideration the fact that North has more spectators than South High does. We've worked through all of the iterations. We've worked with the architects to make sure every piece of equipment for both seasons, boys and girls, fits in that space appropriately and that it's flexible and a good space. So, and we will continue doing that work as if things were going forward. The question about the 2-year co-op, I don't know the answer if you can come back early from that. I know that it's a 2-year application process. I'll ask the questions as to whether you can appeal to come back early or not. I don't know. But it would be purely dependent on the fact that we could find a qualified team to coach at North, okay? But either way, in 2 years, that's definitely something. I don't know how the IHSA rules work, okay? But we have talked all along on our team that in a couple of years, hopefully by adding another coach at South, that allows us to grow our coaching expertise on staff, and that perhaps in a couple of years, maybe it's a possibility to grow the program back. And we'll find out if that's a possibility to do that a year early. I just don't know the answer to that question. I'm going through your list of questions here. Tryout process and all of that. There is a coaching meeting with Coach Camp, or a team meeting with Coach Campos coming up. I believe that date has been sent to all of the families, and that would be a great question to ask a head coach, right, as to how that process is going to work. I have every faith in our staff that they will be unbiased and do what's best for kids and create a great program. That's what our staff does here. I'm very proud of our staff's ability to do that. I know from where you're sitting, I would be dubious too, right? I totally understand that that's the spot, but that's a question to ask our professional, right? And it would be an expectation to understand how that process is going to work. South parents, we have Ed in the room. I have not received a call or question or anything from a South parent. Ed?
I checked with the AD, asked how it was going a couple of days ago. He said they've had a couple of conversations through the coaches, but that's it.
Okay. Equipment. For this year, we knew that, as you know, there would not be a North High gym space. So for this year, we consolidated all of the equipment to put the best equipment in the South Gym, knowing that both teams would be using that equipment this year. The plan was then, at the end of this year, to we'd have to move something back to North, but to then inventory everything that was there and make sure that good quality equipment was going into both spaces. So, because we don't know what the wear and tear, originally we didn't know what the wear and tear of two teams using the equipment would be, so the plan always was to reevaluate equipment at the end of this school year, figure out what needed to be done to make sure that both schools were outfitted appropriately at the end of this year, which will still be the same process. So nothing was sold, nothing was given away, that was always the plan.
But if any equipment is damaged or needs to be replaced, that'll be replaced by the school.
By the school, yeah, absolutely. Timeline, this position has been posted since March of last year. There's been multiple communications sent out to other coaches, to other athletic directors, to professionals in the field of gymnastics. We even this fall went beyond what we normally do and set out a single social media posting and another all call out to try to attract candidates. I cannot go into the hiring process, especially about specific individuals. It would be unethical and it would be illegal for me to do that. I can tell you that at the end, we didn't have a North High coaching team. And you need 3 people that are qualified, that can be in that space. They're going to make sure our kids are safe. As you know, as parents, this is a very dangerous sport. If we don't have the right people and number of people in that space, that's what we were looking for, a full qualified coaching team, or we had to look at another option. And we didn't have a full qualified coaching team at the end of this, so we had to go another direction. And that's the reason we went the direction we did. Now, this process has gone on all spring, all summer. The administrative team has had multiple meetings about this over the summer. The board has been briefed on it all summer, that this is going on and that this has been a challenge. We're also aware that this is a challenge in many other high schools in the area, that other high schools are having challenges finding qualified gymnastics coaches, that we're all competing for the same pool of coaches, and that a lot of people are taking their talents to other spots other than high school gymnastics, which I'm sure you're aware of if you've been in gymnastics for a long time. The number of co-opt gymnastics teams is growing across the state. It used to be a rare thing. It's becoming more and more common. I'm aware, I was told today that at least 3 more school districts are co-opting this year, and possibly more, depending on the same type of thing, student involvement and coaching availability. Those are the 2 variables that ebb and flow at a school that determine what they're doing with their programs. So I know that you just found out about it. It just came out to you. It might feel like it was done in the dark, but we've been working at, remember the intent, as I said earlier, was to find a full coaching team to start this year, and that we wouldn't be in this situation right now. That would have been the goal. Then it wouldn't look like it was being done for other reasons, right? And it's not, but I could understand why people would believe that. But, you know, the ultimate goal was a team at North. It makes everything a lot easier on everybody. It makes the program keep going forward. I believe that we're offering an option that will keep the program strong. As I said, we'll be able to accommodate 40 students. I understand it might be a little bit different than it's been in the past, and I can understand that that's not ideal for what you would like. But this is what I feel and our team feels that we have to do to keep gymnastics viable in the district, in the short term and in the long term. So I'm sorry that it hasn't gone exactly the way that you would have liked. I would encourage you to reach out to Principal Schwartz. I would encourage you to once again reach out to Denise Kavanaugh with your concerns. And we will make sure that they're addressed and being answered. If you feel like, what I'm most concerned about, look.
Our concerns are Denise Kavanaugh doesn't listen to us.
I understand, and then the person to take that concern to is to ask for a meeting with the principal and go have a meeting with Janice and outline your concerns. In a public meeting, that's not the spot to have that conversation. Okay, so if you have concerns ever about anybody on our team other than me, if you have a concern with me, this is the place to do it with the board. But any of our other staff members, it's appropriate to take it to the direct supervisor, which would be Janice. Okay, and if you have concerns, reach out to her. Now, if she won't take your meeting, then come to me. But that we follow that chain of command in the organization.
Or you feel that you weren't
Or you feel you weren't heard, yeah, then absolutely, please reach out. So, yeah.
We weren't heard.
I understand. So please start with Janice. Janice is the appropriate spot to start with that. Okay?
I have a follow-up question to something you just said then.
Mm-hmm.
Will you investigate now the opportunity to pull out of the co-op in the second year?
Yeah.
So you can have an answer as soon as possible, which means you can begin the search as soon as possible. You could revamp the process or whatever
Sure.
you need to do that.
Yeah, well,
IHSA guidelines for cooperatives.
yeah, I know, but
No, I know, I'm just saying, I don't know if that's something Denise can.
no, we'll follow up on that as a team and find out about it. Yeah. Yeah, I know nothing about that, but we can definitely find the answer to that. All right. I would appreciate if any other concerns for North High, start with Janice and Denise, and any concerns for South High, start with Ed and Randy. And if you have concerns that go beyond that, please absolutely reach out to me, and I'm happy to hear from you and work through it. Okay? Thank you for coming out tonight. I know it's not a fun night or a fun topic, and students, I know you should be home studying right now. So thank you for coming out and having your voice heard. You're wonderful advocates for yourself. Thank you.
I'd echo that. Thank you very much. We're always happy to have our parents and the members of the community join us and to let us know how things are going. We invite you to stay for the rest of the meeting. We'll start talking about the budget. But at this point, I am going to close the special communication session. So thank you again. You can stay, you can go.
Can I want to say something to the students real quick. So my daughter just graduated last year, but she was 4 years on the South High gymnastics team, had a wonderful experience. And so I want you to not be discouraged. First of all, I want you to know that Coach Campos, I thought, and my daughter thought, was a very good coach, and she's very fair. And I'm sure she'll answer your questions if you put them to her. And I also wanted to say, no telling what she'll do going forward, but in the past, there were more than 5 varsity members of the team. And, you know, it may be more difficult to be an all-rounder, and there may be more opportunities for individuals to specialize. So, just try not to be too down. Try to encourage your fellow students to stay involved, and it's just so rewarding. My daughter just had the best experience ever, and she also was in action gymnastics, who some of you may be familiar with as well. So I'm familiar with all of that as well, and all I can say is that there's a place for club gymnastics, there's a place for high school gymnastics, and I think it's just the experience my daughter had was just the best. So please stay involved and don't give up, okay? Thanks.
All right, thank you for coming out.
Thank you. Thank you. Moving on to the master facility plan bid progress.
All right, Jim.
Do I know how to clear out a room or what?
Yeah, we turn it to Jim and everybody leaves. This is what happens in your meetings in the office, too.
Yeah, usually it's the budget.
So excited to have an audience tonight. Okay. We've got 2 bids back from July 23rd and 25th. We'll start with North. This is for Phase B work in the MFP. 24 sealed bids for North. As you can see, the awarded winners are listed for about $3.5 million. And South, Phase B work as well, 23 bids, and the awarded bidders listed for South for around $3.5 million also. So $7 million total, all Phase B work. We're getting close to finishing Phase B work. We still have some finishes to bid out.
Not finishing the work, finishing the bids.
Finishing the bids.
I was going to say, wow.
Yeah.
That
no.
was fast.
Some finishes for Phase B.
Yeah, just some paint to put up on walls that don't exist
Right.
yet. Yeah.
And also the squad rooms that we'll be bidding out
The site improvements, yeah.
next week after, 2 weeks. So bid packages from July.
How did this compare to what you expected for which budget?
This 2 packages were actually good. Came in pretty well. Good vendors. As you can see, some are familiar and already been working with us. Excel, Electric, Luce, YMI, they're already on campus, working at the schools. Actually, YMI is working at North, and now they'll be working at South.
Master facility plan progress.
As Jim mentioned, we've finished up Phase A. We're starting on Phase B, and we're doing real well there. We have the gym at North and the new Fine Arts Science Edition at South that both are projecting to have roofs on them so that they can work through the winter on those projects, which will help us stay ahead of schedule. I sent out a link to the board, and just so the public knows as well, up on our websites are now camera feeds of the 2 major projects at North and South High, and also allow you a time-lapse view. Jill had to give me a step-by-step instruction. You wouldn't think I was a tech guy, but...
Thank you, because I couldn't figure out.
There's instructions at the top. She said if you read at the top, you'll know how it works.
Okay,
So reading was my challenge.
I was going to read it out loud.
Yeah, I didn't read either, so... but she did put instructions at the top there. As part of homecoming week at South High this week, there's a community tour of the new facilities Friday at 4:30 p.m. We'll meet in the new main entrance, and then there'll just be people at each major spot where construction took place over the summer to provide an overview. And then today, I led a tour with former Superintendent Dr. McDonald through the different areas, and he was very impressed with all the work that the district has completed, and he congratulated the entire Downers Grove community on the improvements in the schools, and I was quite impressed. He's going to be coming back periodically, so next summer to see how things are going, and then probably this time each year to see what they're looking like.
Excellent.
So he was very excited to see a lot of the work that he put into on the early work on this, to see it coming to fruition. So it was fun to spend time with him today.
Couple final tidbits, just so you're aware, you'll be seeing the bleachers starting up here in late October. That's not that far away. So that work will start for the exterior bleachers at both campuses, starting with North first and then coming over to South. We are in fast and furious with design meetings these last few weeks, and we'll continue that with hopes of bidding all of Phase C out before the end of this year.
Really?
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's ahead of schedule, right?
No, that's what we were shooting for.
Yeah.
We were hoping for before the end of the year. We didn't know if that was realistic or not, but that's what we were hoping for. And, it's been huge amount of work at both sides of town. How many hours last week, Janice, did you spend in meetings?
Well,
15?
Just in design meetings, 15, yes.
Yeah.
Face-to-face.
Face-to-face in meetings.
With
And
the teachers and the architects, yeah.
And that doesn't include all the pre and post meetings and flurry of emails that follows every one of those.
People
So.
popping down to our offices
Mhm.
after.
And then Ed has a fun one tomorrow with auditorium that will not be a quick meeting. So, so as you know, the administrative team and actually a lot of our teachers and staff are spending lots of hours working on this as well. So
And the air is working in both buildings, right?
Hmm?
The air is working in both buildings?
the air is working, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, it is. I can tell you.
experienced it, yes.
I heard
I
otherwise.
practically froze to death at South High.
Cool is a relative concept, right?
Okay, moving on to the moment we have all
been waiting for?
been waiting for.
The moment.
This is it.
2019 to 20 tentative budget and the 5-year financial projection.
So we'll just bundle these two items and just.
Sorry, Jane.
I'll give you your walk-up music here, Mark.
I'm
So,
nothing
step out,
compared
get
to the
coffee,
budget.
maybe a bathroom break. This could
Yes.
take a while.
This month features the third and final stage in the formal budget adoption process by the board. Mark will present the budget one final time to you with a couple of revisions from the last time you saw it. We'll hold a hearing later tonight, then recommend that the board takes action on the budget as presented. And then after that, Mark will present on the 5-year budget forecast. And we're forecasting that our fund balances will remain above the 3% threshold that would require budget reduction measures. If what we share with you tonight in either of these presentations is not in line with the district's strategic goals, this would be the time to direct the administration to take notice of that and to provide some ideas that we should incorporate into changes in this year or the future years' operating budgets. So with that all being said, I bring to you your main show of the evening, Mark Stalen on budget and 5-year forecast.
I understand I have 3 minutes.
3 minutes, yes.
And then you could,
For you, 3.5.
So generous.
Let's bring the revenues up, and the budget's been on display. There were some revisions that we made because we got better information. It all involves the revenue side. So it so happens you can make changes in the revenue budget at any point during the year. There's no law that even regulates that side of the budget. Expenditures, though, you can only move up to 10% of the individual fund amount before you have to readopt the budget. So the fact that we made some changes doesn't make anything, and we just got more information that's a little bit better, and it's very positive. You notice the key thing here is that replacement taxes are up higher than what you saw when I provided the original budget by $147,000. In August, September of each year, it was actually in August this year, we got information from the Department of Revenue that indicated our allocation was going up. And part of it is more taxes and the economy being stronger. We've had much higher replacement tax in boom years over, over the last couple decades. And so, and also I went to a little seminar where we're learning that the state aid, even though our evidence-based funding is pretty solid and won't change, it's not going to go up much. And it just looks like more reductions are going to be made in some of these reimbursements, the categorical reimbursements for either special ed placements or special ed transportation. So we just kept it balanced at that point and took the $147,000 from replacement, took that out of the state funding budget just to give ourselves some cushion there. The thing that was really positive, and I'll talk a little bit more about it in the 5-year forecast because it's a long-term change, is that we have TIFs expiring. And we knew we had some TIFs expiring, and actually Dr. Healy had a meeting with the Woodridge village manager, I believe it was. And they already have calculated what we think we might get in terms of money that comes back to the taxing bodies involved in a TIF. And it happens differently for the two, and I'll explain it more on the other side when I'm talking about the 5-year. But when TIFs are in place, there's money that goes from tax dollars that go into the TIF property, it's managed by the municipality, and then you use those dollars to for the purposes of the TIF. In this case, Janes Avenue was beautification and remodeling of some of the areas in that area. Storefronts were changed and to make the area nicer looking and to hope to prop up values. Two things happen though in a TIF. When it's over, and I happen to be on both sides of both these TIFs. I was there when they started, and I'm here now at the end, and we didn't fight them. We didn't fight them. Schools were still fighting some of these TIFs, but I realized we're not going to lose any money when there's a TIF. We get the same CPI increase every year, it doesn't matter. And at the end, we get a little burst, and that's what I'll be talking about here. So the one part is that there's some money that was paid in through the taxes. They collected in taxes, but they haven't found enough projects to use them, so they have money left over. And when there's money left over when a TIF expires, this is the 23rd year, then that goes back to the taxing bodies based on their individual tax rates. And so ours, the money that, we'll actually get a little bit over 400,000 if their calculation's right, but part of our taxes are in debt service levies, and so we have to consider allocating that back to the debt service fund. So this is the operating fund share is $380,000 that we're looking at about right now. That's a one-time thing because it's just a dissolution of the TIF. Going forward, in the future years, the improvement in the property inside that TIF, the assessed valuations of that property comes to us as new construction, and that's the real bonus of the TIF. And in this case, there's not a lot of growth. It's about $96,000, and we'll get that in a couple years. It has to first be put on as a new construction, and then we can put it into we'll catch it in the next year's levy. So it's a little delayed, but it'll start up, and it's still a nice change that we will see, and that's why I've been referring to the 5-year forecast, because it'll be down the road before we see that. So those are the changes we made to the revenue side. There were no changes to the expenditure side. Maybe put the expense up, Tony. So it's 92,000. If you notice on the revenue side, our revenues were 95,380,000. This is 92,454 the expenditures, but another piece of what we spend it on are transfers out, because we've been using some of our operating funds to pay for large capital programs. And so you'll see that when I flip up the next one here. But the total budget going up 3.2%. It's very much in line with the revenue side, which the CPI and new construction values were about 3.1%. So we have this balance that we keep going on. And then if you move it to one more, so this is the total operating funds and the fund balances. You'll see beginning balance 1.5 million, 95,380,000 in the revenue side, 92,454 on the expenditure side. But we have transfers coming out of our funds in addition. They're like expenditures, but they're treated differently from accounting. And so we actually will see our fund balance go up for this budget at $380,000. And it's really attributable to the one-time payment by the TIF. The other thing that's we do, it's part of our formal budget. We only talk about it once or twice a year just because it doesn't change much. The non-operating fund. That's a flash up here. And this is the first of the debt service fund, the capital projects funds. Obviously, capital project funds, we have a lot going on there. We have $69 million of revenues, which are really going to be primarily issuance of bonds, but also interest income. And then expenditures of about $42 million that we expect within the fiscal year. So we should have a big growing budget for that capital project fund, but it'll all be spent by the end of the term for the master facility plan. And we'd just like to keep an eye on. Actually, I guess one more thing to point out: the transfers in the 2.5 million coming in. That's what came out of the same number that came out of the operating funds a minute ago. So that's our transfers. They're being transferred to the debt service fund, and we pay off our bonds, our debt certificates, and bonds that are related to operating fund initiatives. So the long-term debt, I was just kind of break it out so you can see The top, our debt service paid for with taxes. It's our master facility plan, referendum taxes, but other taxes that we've had for working cash, our life safety, bond issuances. And then the bottom line is what we've been paying out of operating funds. And there's $7.2 million worth of bonds outstanding there. And we may have another issuances for life safety. We're just planning some of that as possible. We'll have $5.7 million left to pay off over the next few years. And then you'll see it in the master facility, the 5-year projection, that we'll actually have a big opening at the end of that 5-year projection because those things will all be paid off. So I flew through that, but I think I see almost the same audience as when I did the first presentation, so I kind of, I knew you had most of it then. I could see on your faces, you all figured it, saw what was going on.
What are you anticipating in life safety?
We found a few things. One thing, the big thing is right now that there's some wiring at North. It's cloth-bound wiring from the original building.
Wow.
So it turns out it's more extensive than it was originally thought, and it's certainly life safety. It's aged
Yes.
and needs to be replaced, and it's going to be pretty expensive. That in itself is probably $600,000 range. We're trying to get that fully assessed, and so.
Replacing conduit too, or
No.
just, okay, so
Wiring,
just pulling the
but
wire?
it's lights and it's a lot at North. It's really gotten worse. So we're looking to fund it through a life safety source with white putting in.
Is this something we just discovered recently?
No.
Or?
The extent of it, as we've begun investigating doing this work next fall, the extent of it is larger than we originally thought it was. So it wasn't, we always knew that there was wiring that would have to be replaced, but we didn't realize it was this much.
So does it exist in other portions of the building other than what we're currently touching right now? Should we be looking at that too?
The problem is this: the current light fixtures that are in the house lights are burning up the wire. So the plan all along was to switch out the lights, and then we found out just recently that, again, that we're taking the lights from south, the new LEDs, and bringing them over to north, which is going to solve that problem of too much voltage coming through the line. Originally, it was only 2 feet of the wire that was burnt out, but after further investigation, it's all the way back. So that's the core of
Similar
why
problem
it's
at my church right
escalated.
now. We just had to turn
Old
off our
buildings.
dimmers and,
So
same
it's really
exact-
the
same
light
exact
fixture
problem.
itself and the longevity of those
Mhm.
burning for so many years.
Okay.
High wattage.
But elsewhere in the building, outside of,
We're in good shape.
okay,
No other issues.
good.
Any other questions on this part? And we'll move right into the 5-year projection. This is going to be kind of small to see, but yeah, we'll just do the top here. And a little bit more. No, that's good. Leave it just like that. Just like that, Tony, okay? And we can move it up when we go up. Really, this is, we've been using this for a long time, this mode and this method for projecting our future expenditures. The key thing that's always most important to us is in CPI. And last year's CPI was 1.9. In fact, I'll show you, there's just an error in the way that it's reflected. There's no change in the numbers, but we know that the 2021 CPI is 1.9%. And it's, you can see it's still listed as 1.8, but 1.9 was used to calculate all of the changes. So our 5-year average is where we get 1.8%. Our 10-year average is 1.8. Our 5-year average is about 1.5%, but it's been trending up. So the economy has been going well. There is talk of a recession. There's talk of so that's a limit that in this 1.8% could be too high, but we use 1.8. And the key thing is that about 84% of our revenues are tied to CPI, and in this projection, 83% of our expenditures are tied to it. And so even if you increase it by a couple percents or basis points, it's going to also reduce it on the other side. So it gives us a good look of what we could have happen going forward. New construction has been 0.75% over the last 5 years on average. That has been trending up. We are seeing some return in property values, but also new construction in our areas. We'll also see independently a change in our EAV and new construction because of the TIFs that are rolling off and freeing up the property inside the TIF that's been improved. And that's, if you just move it up a little bit, that's this, I put a new line in here, impact of expiring TIFs, it's all in yellow going all the way across. The $380,000 would be the payoff from Woodridge that we are anticipating. $96,000 actually is about the impact to our assessed valuation and new construction that we'll be able to access for revenue. And then the next year, $1,084,000, that's combining it with the Village of Downers Grove TIF. And the Village of Downers Grove TIF is a little bit different. They didn't just take the taxes in and then fund projects with it. They had key projects in mind and they issued bonds to produce money up front so that they could do a lot of the work right up front, knowing that over time they would have revenue coming in on the TIF that would help pay off the debt service of that. Now, they actually have not been collecting enough in TIF revenues to pay the bonds over those last few years, and they've been having to use other village proceeds, their kind of general fund, or different funds they would find money from. So they're certain there'll be no payout at the end. It's going to be zero. And so it'll be a relief to them to get it off of the books as well. But there's a huge amount of assessed valuation. The Downers Grove TIF has been very successful. Yes. It was properties were losing value before it started, and now we'll see a huge increase. And it should be about $988,000 ongoing. So, and it will grow just like our regular tax base does, and our revenues off of that will grow the same way. And that comes in, there we go, $1,084,000, 21-22 is the first year we should experience that. And then you can see it grows a little bit each year because of the change in CPI.
Is there one on Ogden Avenue that's going off too?
That one is a little bit later. I think it's going to we might catch that in 24.
Yeah. A couple of years after.
Yeah.
So the thing is, they can continue TIFs if we allow them, or if
they expand them.
We have to give permission to that, but if they make a good case, we might do something like that.
You're anticipating that they might with
The
Ogden
23
Avenue?
years is the normal expiration date for it, but they can go a little bit longer. So I've been going that far out, I didn't go into the Ogden TIF.
Okay.
So like
Well,
the
this is good
Woodridge
news.
one, we held out
Yes.
on that one until we got closer here and we kind of saw
Yeah.
that it was truly coming to an end before we brought it to the board and said, we
Yeah.
expect this money to come forward, right? We wanted to see all that play out. We know the Downers Grove one is very different. That one is going to come to an end. They
they
very
want it
much
gone.
so want it to come to an end.
But it was successful
Very
too.
It was successful, yeah, absolutely.
But,
And then the next one at Downers Grove, we gotta wait till we get closer.
Okay.
Before we
All right.
count on it.
Yeah.
All right, and the fact that there was money left over in the Woodridge and the Jays Avenue, that seems unusual.
Yeah, was it roughly $1 million or something?
No, almost two.
Two on that one? Okay.
It was an unusual.
That's right, because of the
It was
breakdown.
unusual how they structured that TIF, when you get into the mechanics of it, that individual family, or individual households could apply for money inside of that TIF, which was an innovative way to go about it, but it just didn't play out for a chunk of that money as they expected, so.
Yeah, they could improve the interior of their house. They could put in new kitchens and renovate their
Interesting.
condo.
Yeah, it was a creative idea at the time, but I don't think it got the traction.
It wasn't 100%, so they had to come in, I think it was a 50-50, or there
was like a
there
matching
sharing. Yeah,
grant
it was
kind of,
matching, so.
yeah. It
worked.
As organizations, sometimes we try creative stuff, and sometimes it works.
Right.
Either way, now.
It was good for us, though.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah, it's
all good
coming.
news.
So if we bring it all up, gets to the bottom here. So what I've always asked you to look at is this change in operating budget. That's what we need to keep either zero or positive. You can see 380 this current operating year. And you'll notice in 21-22, you see that there's a bigger jump in that year. That's really because our enrollment is projected by CASARDA to drop by 74. So that's what causes that. If it doesn't happen, it won't drop. But that's why that one looks a little bit different and comes up a little bit more. And then we start to get the proceeds. And also in these last 2 years, 22, 23, 23, 24, we'll have paid off our capital projects out of the operating funds. So those transfers will drop. So this is probably the brightest looking one I've ever done, but it's been a long time coming. We're waiting to pay off those 20-year bonds, and we're waiting for these TIFs to break. So it's like planting the seeds that we did 20 years ago to get some of this to happen. But so that's the main points. I don't know if you have any questions.
I remember those seeds going in the ground.
Yeah, that's right.
This is why you're the MVP, Mark, the MVP.
Yeah, no, this isn't as
Surprised
exciting.
there's not more people have been here to
Yes,
want to.
I get it, I get it, but
Yeah.
this is, boy, none of, think of the, we wouldn't, the last thing we'd be talking about is gymnastics if we had problems with this, you know, I mean, these fundamentals. So this is great news.
Okay, is that any more questions or comments?
I would just like to recognize the work of Mark and Jeree in putting all of this together. So.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did we have any freedom of information?
We did, and they are always posted on the district website. And before we go into the public hearing, I have one last item that isn't on the agenda, just some late-breaking news. Last Friday, District 99 received 3 Communication Awards of Excellence, the highest rating, at the 2019 Communications Contest sponsored by the Illinois chapter of National School Public Relations Association. So the Illinois branch of our PR people, right? Their professional organization. Excellence is the highest award, and very few of them are given. So huge kudos to Jill and to Kristen for that. The projects that were recognized were the year in review annual report. Oh, there you go. There's their beautiful pictures up on their website today. They made the splash page. The social scene, which is what Kristen started this up last year, it's a weekly internal newsletter that highlights our staff use of social media. Every so often I get a shout out in there, which is always fun. And then our Teacher and Staff Appreciation Week campaign, which you might remember from Teacher Appreciation Week last week. Our objective was that at least 100 parents would recognize a teacher or staff member for the positive impact that they made on a student. We received 558 submissions, and 282 staff members were recognized across the district. So, you know, we put a lot into communications in this district, and it's great to see our professionals recognized that way. And speaking of our professionals, Jill Browning, over the weekend, took a very important test and received her accreditation in public relations, so her APR. So.
Good going,
Which
Jill.
is, you know, a huge professional organization recognition for being at the top of her field, and she's been working on it for, I don't know, over a year now? Well over a year now? Probably well over a year. Okay, and involved sitting for a 3-hour examination on Saturday, so.
I still have nightmares about doing that.
Which at the end, I'm sure they asked her to start grading people's exams because she's that good. But our communications team always hits it out of the park, but they're being recognized for that a little bit this week, so.
That is great.
Well, you can interrupt the agenda anytime.
With that kind of news, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes. Those are the breaking headlines we like.
Okay, public hearing. We're opening the public hearing on the 2019 through 2020 tentative budget. Is there anybody who would like to address the board or bring anything up about the agenda?
This is the final opportunity for the public to provide
Speak now or
feedback.
forever hold your peace. It's
They all
looking pretty
left.
rosy, so who can complain?
They all left, Nancy.
Okay, then I'm going to close the hearing, the public hearing for the 2019 and 20 tentative budget. Thank you for keeping it down to a roar. Now we're going to move on to the consent agenda. Before we ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda, I would just once again like to recognize our wonderful Education Foundation, ukuleles for the All Access Choir.
How cool is that?
How cool is that? I want a performance here one night.
Well, we'll try. It's
At
not
least
up to
be
me.
invited to theirs. That is just like so wonderful, so thank you again. But right now, we do need a motion to approve the consent agenda, which is the personnel report, appointment certified, appointment exempt, transfer of position classified, appointments classified, the personnel report, retirement certified, resignations classified, the financial pages, the approval of educational tours, the approval of English course title changes, and the acceptance of the donations from the District 99 Education Foundation grant.
So-
Before you do that, but before we do that,
Before you do that,
But wait,
I
there's
just
more.
need to highlight the personnel report has an addition from what was originally posted. The amended document shows that we are hiring certified staff member Blair Slavensky to be a social studies teacher at North High School.
and that was the second document that was on board docs earlier. today.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes. Awesome. I so
More late
moved.
breaking news.
Terry moves,
I will second that motion.
Mike seconds.
Terry Pavasich.
Aye.
Mike Davenport.
Aye.
Sherelle Fuller.
Aye.
Thank you. Dan Nicholas.
She was asleep.
Rick Pavanato.
Wake her up.
Joanna Vasquez Drexler.
Aye.
And Nancy Kupka.
Aye, the consent agenda carries. Next is a recommendation for action, the approval of the 2019-2020 budget.
So moved.
Okay, go ahead.
Ooh, I think
Mike
that was an
moves, Terry
actual
seconds.
tie.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mike Davenport.
Aye.
Terry Pavasich.
Aye.
Rick Pavanato.
Aye.
Joanna Vasquez Drexler.
Aye.
Sherelle Fuller.
Aye.
Dan Nicholas.
Aye.
And Nancy Kupka.
Aye, the approval, the budget is approved. And finally, the approval of the 2019-20 grants.
So moved.
Seconded.
Mike and Dan.
Thank you. Mike Davenport.
Aye.
Dan Nicholas.
Aye.
Terry Pavasich.
Aye.
Rick Pavanato.
Aye.
Joanna Vasquez Drexler.
Aye.
Sherelle Fuller.
Aye.
And Nancy Kupka.
Aye, and the grants are passed. Thank you all. Moving on to old business, policy committee report, second reading.
Yep, the policies there have been brought forward for second reading and approval this month. Since we talked about them last month, nobody has raised any questions or concerns to me. Other members of the policy committee, have you heard any concerns?
I'm not.
Or who is it now? It's
Rick and Sherelle.
Rick and Sherelle. Sorry, we moved Sherelle over. So Sherelle, any concerns been brought to you?
Repeat the question, please?
Did anybody bring any concerns to you about the policies?
No.
Okay. Upon approval, after approval of policy 7.21 tonight, assuming it is approved by the board, we will send out our notice of non-discrimination and expectation of a safe school environment to all families, either towards the end of this week or beginning of next week. We've been holding off on sending that announcement out, waiting for us to announce that this has become board policy. So,
Do we have that for approval?
We need a motion to approve.
we need a motion to approve the policies as presented.
Make a motion move to approve the policies as presented.
Thank you, Rick. Sherelle, do you second that?
I do.
Thank you. Rick Pavanato.
Aye.
Sherelle Fuller.
Aye.
Dan Nicholas.
Aye.
Terry Pavasich.
Aye.
Joanna Vasquez Drexler.
Aye.
Mike Davenport.
Aye.
And Nancy Kupka.
Aye, the policies are passed. Thank you very much for all of your hard work. Moving on, this is the second reception of visitors. Is there anyone who wishes to address the board? Hearing none, we'll move on. Communications and announcement. Len, anything to report, Mr. Nichols?
Next meeting is Friday, so nothing to report this time.
Sassy, Julian, anything?
Nothing really to report other than they approved their budget and there's a meeting on Wednesday and I'm on the policy committee now.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. So all your policy ideas? Joanne. The foundation.
Yes, a couple of things. The foundation was a proud sponsor of the Young Hearts for Life at South High. And we evaluated or did EKGs on 1,935 students. And we had over 130 community volunteers that came, and it was a fabulous day. Thank you, Ed. Everything ran very smoothly, and I can't say as many great things as what happened at South. It was really very pleasant. So thank you, except you froze me to death because they told us to dress warmly, or I mean coolly, because it was going to be warm. It was not. It was cold in that gym. But
Mr. Lang, you deserve the credit. They did all the organizing.
Okay. Yes, they did a great job. And in addition to that, Donna Dawson and Stephanie Williams joined us this summer. And we're proud to also welcome 2 more board members. Shannon Kregel, she's a community member, and she's also in charge of marketing and events associated with Chamber 630. And Mike Hines, he's a community member, and he's also a North High Science Department Chair. So he's going to be joining us on the foundation, so that's really a fabulous thing. And we're also looking for maybe someone from South High who would like to join us on the foundation. So that's
Mike's
kind of a
first-
challenge.
Yeah, but that was Mike's first task on the board, was to find a
Yes.
compadre from South High.
Yes.
So we don't want to steal that from him.
No, but just in case. There are still plenty of opportunities for community members to join us and volunteer for positions on our board. And please contact Julia Beckman at D99foundation@gmail.com if you were interested in joining our foundation. And as you can see, we give away grants, and it's really fun. So.
You have a small but a mighty foundation.
Well, you know what? It's growing. We have filled almost all the chairs in the boardroom, so we may have to move out to here. So it will be wonderful, and the more the merrier, excuse me. So please consider that as a opportunity.
Thanks, Terry. Mike, anything on the Illinois Association of Schools?
Nothing new to share that hasn't already been shared with you.
Okay. Moving on, upcoming board meetings will be October 7th. We'll have a special workshop meeting at 6:30 here, and October 21st, our regular business meeting here. We now need a motion to move into closed session for the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the district or legal counsel for the district, including hearing testimony, I can't do both, a complaint lodged against an employee or against legal counsel for the district to determine its validity, and collective negotiating matters between the district and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees, and litigation when an action against, affecting, or on behalf of the district has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal, or when the district finds that an action is probable or imminent, in which case the basis for the finding shall be recorded and entered into the minutes of the closed meeting.
So moved.
Dan moves.
Second.
Mike seconds.
Dan Nicholas.
Aye.
Mike Davenport.
Aye.
Sherelle Fuller.
Aye.
Terry Pavasich.
Aye.
Rick Pavanato.
Aye.
Jenna Vasquez Drexler.
Aye.
And Nancy Kupka.
Aye, we are going into closed session. We will be returning to open to make any,
Just a motion to adjourn.
Just a mo- so
And
there will
we'll
be-
be in this room.
there will be no more
Action taken.
action tonight. You're welcome to stay to watch us adjourn, or you're welcome to go home. Thank you.